Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Chase, aka That Gay Jedi, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm super excited to be launching the first episode in a series I call The Rebel Allies, where I connect with allies of the LGBTQ plus communities in Star Wars fandom. In this interview, I'm speaking with fan artist Roberto Venegas, and I could not be more excited to share it with all of you. So please enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited that I'm just so excited to have you. I just mentioned that I have been a fan of your work since before my channel. So it's really an honor and privilege to have you here. So thank you and welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I enjoying your show. I've been honored that you asked me to be on the show. This is the first time I've actually been, I guess, on video, so it's a little nerve-wracking. I just heard my voice, but now I'm going to see my face now.
I actually completely understand that. I still get like very nervous before this kind of stuff, so I get it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got to ask you, how was your first recording and like putting it out there? Because it's gotta
Okay,
be.
it was really scary, and like it's funny watching back my first video, I can just tell how nervous I am. So the good news is that I feel like I'm getting a little bit more relaxed the more I do it, but yeah, it's easy to fall out of habit too. Like now that I'm posting every other week, I kind of have to warm myself back up and try not to get nervous.
I
Yeah.
can imagine. I'm one of those people that when I send an email, I get nervous, and I was like, okay, I
Yes.
gotta just put send, gotta put just
Yep.
send, and then walk away. So imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm constantly reading my emails 500 times. But okay, so let's start with sort of your introduction to Star Wars. I think that's where a lot of people like to start. But also your introduction to creating fan art and when those two intersected.
Okay, so well, I'm a little bit older. I'm basically in my last year of my 30s. So I had a couple of introductions to Star Wars, but it was the sequel trilogy that really just changed everything for me. But my first introduction was when I was a kid. I remember sitting in my grandparents' living room, and I remember Vader choking General Veers in A New Hope, and that was mind blowing. But that was it. I mean, I was small. I didn't really get the concept of sequels or really movies. It was just like a one time thing.
Mhm.
And also growing up in a Hispanic community, first generation Mexican American, where my parents migrated here, they really knew really nothing about the American culture, pop culture,
Mhm.
and growing up in a community like that as well, that where my friends had similar backgrounds to me. Star Wars was we never talked about Star Wars. It
Mhm.
was never a thing. It was like it, and all through my school, through high school, and I remember the prequels came out. When the
Mhm.
prequels came out, me and my friends were excited. We thought this was going to be the next, big thing, just like in the 70s when A New Hope came out. But it wasn't. It was fine. We enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that stayed with us, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. And so Star Wars was never really in my life, and even though I liked them,
Mhm.
it wasn't something that gravitated me until the prequels came out. And I like to describe it like this. So The Force Awakens is like finally being invited to the party that everybody talks about.
Yeah.
Like you walk in, you're like, oh, dang, okay, I see. Okay, I get it now. And then Rogue One is like you have a few drinks in you, you're feeling the vibe, you're feeling the music, you're eyeing somebody across the room, all of that. You're feeling it. And then The Last Jedi, you're dancing with the person you've been eyeing on top of the table with your shirt off, screaming,
Yeah.
"This is the best night ever." That that was my Star Wars experience. And after that, nothing was the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Wow.
It it changed everything because before Star Wars, I was the MCU guy. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would see the Avengers in a movie and all that stuff. That was the pinnacle of cinema. Well, I thought,
Yeah.
into a solid Last Jedi, and then all of a sudden, the MCU just wasn't as rich as Star Wars. All of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, I had this hunger to know about Star Wars, to know more about the universe. And it changed the way I saw the original and the prequels, because
Mm.
then it wasn't just movies that entertained me. It was like almost history, like
Yeah.
what came before it and all that.
Yeah.
So it was very much a life-changing experience. And I dove hard, really hard. I met my wife before all this.
Mm-hmm.
She knew me before I didn't even care about Star Wars, and now she's just saw me. She just seen me just dive from the deep end, and she's been very supportive. So I have a wonderful partner that
That's
supports this
awesome.
crazy obsession of mine.
Well, that's really cool. I have to go on record and just say that that is my favorite way I've ever heard the sequels explained. That is like, that's honestly my favorite origin story out of any Star Wars fan. That is such a good way to put it. That is so funny. It really did feel like that. Because it was like, for people who weren't necessarily as into Star Wars, The Force Awakens was like a great way to get into it. And
It absolutely, yeah.
and what was it about the sequels that really struck you? Like, what do you remember being like, oh, I'm starting to get it? What was it in those stories that kind of like stood out to you?
Oh man, that's a good question. To me, above it all was the characters. I
Yeah,
absolutely loved Rey. I absolutely loved Finn,
yeah,
Poe, and Kylo. Like everybody has their favorites, whether it's Luke and Leia,
hmm,
or yeah, with Anakin and Kenobi. The sequel trilogy are my characters. They're the
hmm,
characters that I hold dear to my heart, and it was just really, really exciting when, at the moment where I kind of knew I was a Star Wars fan,
hmm.
was when Rey and Kylo were summoning the Luke's lightsaber and it went straight to Rey. At that
Yes.
moment, I think all of us were like, oh, because we didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. I completely thought it was going to be Kylo that to end up with the lightsaber.
Right.
And that whole sequence just changed. I knew
Yeah.
at that point I was a fan,
Yeah.
and then Rogue One just added to that. I added to the emotion of
Hmm.
just a great ending, a great fight, and then the Last Jedi. The Last Jedi it was a theater experience I haven't felt since like Jurassic Park
Yeah.
or Lord of the Rings. It was
Yeah.
one of those movies that just had me at the edge of my seat. Like nobody else in the theater existed other than
Hmm.
just me and the movie, and and that was it. It was just something about these characters that pulled me into Star Wars. It's hard to
Yeah.
describe in a sense. You just connect with them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that my favorite thing would be the same, just the characters, anything. Cause I'm also a big MCU fan and like the characters and if it, whatever I'm watching, if it has good characters, I'm in it. So I get that. And I agree. I think the sequel trilogy has so many incredible characters and I hope we get to see more of them, moving forward. I like really want to get more of that.
Yeah, I totally. I'm one of these believers that I believe Ben is going to come back,
I
and
would
of course,
love, yes.
yeah. So I absolutely. I think these characters are going to be here for a while. It's just they're taking a little break, which
Just take a
is
little
which
break.
is good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So, someone of your skill set, I assume, has been creating art their entire life. Is that correct? Have you been sort of making art for your entire life?
Yeah, no,
No.
it's no. It really. When I was younger, I was more interested in running around and
Hmm.
playing instead of like being at home and drawing.
Right.
But I always had this talent. I knew I always had this talent, and I think I got it from my dad because he always knows how to draw as well. But it wasn't until my early 20s where I was like started drawing and I just started enjoying it. It was I remember my friends would go out and sometimes they would call me to like let's go to this place, and I was rather stay home and just draw. And I found it like really peaceful until my late 20s, where I was like, okay, I think I gotta make a choice. I gotta
Mhm.
either have this as a hobby, or do I take this further and try to make a career out of it.
Yeah.
And that's that's when I decided to take the leap into art. But one of the things that I never really dove into fandom art until you know until I was done with school. This
Hmm.
was, I guess, in 2019, maybe, because
Hmm.
I didn't really have the time.
Yeah.
But that's when I really dove into fan art and Star Wars. Because it got me out of a little bit of a depression.
Yeah.
So it was just something that, for me, art was just fun again.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's rad. That's right. Do you remember like sort of the first images of what you were drawing from the Star Wars universe? Like some of the first things you were inspired to draw in Star Wars?
Yeah, it was Ben and Ray. I remember while I was in school, just sketching and just drawing and trying, because after the Last Jedi, you know, Star Wars absolutely consumed me. Like, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden, when people said Star Wars, my ears were perked up. So, and that was and that was true for art as well. It's like I wanted to draw them, but
Mm,
because I was in school, I didn't have the time. So once
right.
I got out of school, that's when uh, fan art started. I had the time to do fan art, but it was always Ben and Ray, because it looks cool. And that's when I started expanding, I started expanding into further characters like Ben and Anakin and Luke, because before that I kind of wasn't really interested in drawing them. So
Hmm.
now all of a sudden it's like I'm interested in drawing all the characters. Like, I don't know, because I think they have like every character has its own backstory. Every character is somebody's favorite. So I want to
Hmm.
treat every character with that respect of like not of respect of giving them the fair treatment that they
Yeah.
might have not have gotten on the shows or on the movies, or
Yeah. That's really cool. Do you find that like let's say you're about to draw a character that you don't necessarily feel super connected with. When you spend time with that character and like drawing something up of that character, do you do you feel more connected to with them after you do that? And do you feel like a deeper appreciation for that character after making art sort of for them with them?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Because when I start drawing these characters that I'm not familiar with, I don't really know them.
Hmm.
I just see that they look cool. But then when
Yeah.
you do some of the research behind the characters,
Yeah.
you realize that, oh my God, sometimes there's a lot of information on them. I
Yeah.
remember when I did the Women of the Universe, or We Are the Spark. The idea was just to do, I don't know, just the Skywalker family,
Hmm.
just have a small group, about maybe 10 characters.
Hmm.
And that grew to be like 130 maybe, because I kept searching for
Yeah.
characters, and then put it on Twitter to help me out with names. And every name that they gave me, I would research
Mm.
them, and I would find absolutely amazing stories with these characters that I never knew. And I, to be honest, I would totally love to see these in live action or in movies. Some of these characters, because
Yeah.
they're absolutely amazing. I'm blanking out on the names because there's so many, but there's so many amazing characters that I can't even begin to start. So every character, every art that I start with a new character, there's always more to learn, and then you get that appreciation, because you realize that they fit in Star Wars galaxy, and it kind of makes it a little extra special.
Yeah,
because then
totally.
it's this big old fabric of what makes Star Wars, and not everybody gets the recognition that they deserve.
Right. Yeah, that's first of all, it's awesome to hear you talk about the We Are the Spark because that's one of my favorite pieces you've ever done. It's absolutely breathtaking. Like, I mean it. It's such a cool piece. So it's cool to hear a little bit more about that process with that piece in particular. But yeah, I also have found that a similar sort of journey with like if I do a deep dive on certain characters or certain like, relationships in Star Wars, like C3PO, like I didn't really necessarily like I loved 3PO like the way that anyone likes him, but like I didn't feel super connected with him. But once I spent a lot of time working on a video for him, by the end of it I was like, oh my god, like I love this character and I have such a deeper appreciation for him and I feel like personally connected to him now, so I can relate to that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's that's one of the unique things about I think what Disney is doing. They're expanding this universe in a really interesting way. So
Mm-hmm.
some of the LGBTQ characters, some of the women that that are that are in books and comic books,
Mm-hmm.
people don't really get to discover them, and I think that's where my art kind of comes in, where I like to tackle so many characters that it puts them maybe in some of the public eye that may not
Yeah.
necessarily be familiar with them. Then maybe hopefully they'll be encouraged to search out those books, or search out those comics, that material, for them to get to know these amazing characters.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love that. Two other favorites of mine that you've done are The Throne and Masters and Apprentices. I actually have The Throne like framed. It's like I just need to hang it up. I'm obsessed with it. It's in my dining room right now. I love that one so much, and I just feel like all of the scenes you create are super original. Um, and at the same time are so true to the character, and there's always such like a dynamic feel in the scenes that you set. So I'm wondering like sort of what your process is in discovering like the moments that you do in your art and when you know that you're done. When are you like, oh, okay, like that was it, or that was the piece. Like when does it click for you?
Oh, okay. Well, my process, my
Yeah.
process is messy. It's very messy because it's fan art, so I just
Right.
follow whatever mood I'm in.
Hmm.
But when it comes to making uh, any of these illustrations, it just comes with a simple idea, sketching, trying to find something that I can imagine myself finishing. Because there's lots of sketches where I don't finish. There's lots of ideas
Right.
that will never be seen, but there has to be something that intrigues me, and it usually starts with a simple idea.
Hmm.
And when I'm drawing, I'm always searching. I'm always thinking about what the character. I'm always thinking about getting in their shoes and figuring out what their goal is, what they're after, and how they approach it. Because I think that's where all the good stuff is.
Hmm.
That's where all the good ideas come out of. When I know I have something pretty good when I get emotional, or
Hmm.
when I get excited. I remember doing the throne. When I was doing the throne, I just had the simple idea was just having Dark Maul sit in a chair, cool, and that was
Yeah.
it. Because he's a cool guy. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I just remember thinking, there has to be something more to this.
Mm.
There is something more to this, and it's like, and I'm just kept thinking, and then all of a sudden, this statue idea came into mind, and putting all his moments of I guess
Hmm.
torturing his enemies, just came about, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But and that's kind of when when I put Kenobi holding his master, and having Dark Maul kind of step on him, while having his left hand on Kenobi's head.
Hmm.
That's kind of when I knew I had something really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Because I think that little scene, that little moment in that chair, has so much emotion.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think it's just the process of discovering and searching, and not settling for something that it could be cool, but
Right.
I'm always searching for story, and
Yeah.
I think that's what separates uh, my art, is that I'm always looking to pull people's heartstrings and emotions.
Yeah, well, you do a wonderful job at it. And it's also fascinating to hear earlier you mentioning that the characters are your favorite part about Star Wars, because what I feel like you do so effortlessly, even though it takes a lot of effort, but from my end, it looks like it's just so natural. But like what you do in all of your pieces is you connect characters in such beautiful ways. You know what I mean? So, I feel
Mhm.
like your love for characters in Star Wars is reflected into your art so beautifully, because anytime I see a piece of yours, there's more than just that one character. There's always such a relationship to the characters you're putting in the scenes that they're in, and it's so cool. So I love it. I love it so much, and I love hearing about the throne. And then the Master and Apprentices one was such an exciting. I feel like it had such a great Clone Wars vibe to it. You know what I mean? You really hit the Clone Wars energy on the head with that. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I really, I really like that one, because I think at exactly what you said. I just wanted to capture that Clone War vibes, and
Yes.
because the show is so fantastic, and I
Yes.
realized that I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything for Rebels. I still need to do something for Rebels and Resistance, but with Clone Wars, that was it. That was like
Yeah.
me kind of putting a little love letter to the show, because
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I was thinking too much about it. It was just like, let me have fun with these characters. Let me have fun with
Yeah.
a Kenobi looking cool and sexy, and
Yeah.
looking, and Anakin looking emo,
Yeah.
and then Ahsoka looking badass.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you did an amazing job of it. That's definitely one of my favorites. Um, okay, cool. So, I'm so excited about this series, and I'm so happy that you're the one kicking it off. So, with regards to Rebel allies, how would you define being an ally, and how do you live as one, just sort of like day to day in your personal life?
Okay, so this is a good question, because I haven't really thought about myself as an ally, because I don't really see people's differences
Right.
in how some people see it. I just kind of see it as we're all humans striving for the same thing.
Yeah.
So the way I define for myself being an ally is, since I'm still learning about it, is just listening.
Yeah.
And I think that's an underrated thing that people claim to do, because many people claim they listen, but they don't really. They just kind of like, okay, I accept your opinion, and this is mine, and they kind of go back and forth. But the
Hmm.
reality is, like, listening, it means being open to the person's experience, and internalizing their experience, and being open to change your mind about things.
Hmm.
Being open to what you're not familiar with, or what you may not know too much, and having people around you that will you know take the time to educate you in those areas that you might not be familiar with. So that for me is like the most important thing, to be an ally. And I think that's one of the biggest things that this community, after joining Twitter, kind of opened my eyes to, is like things
Hmm.
that I could be better at, things that I wasn't familiar with. That's a huge thing, that has been my growing experience during Twitter, is like learning what, in the trans community, what they dead names are. I had
Hmm.
no idea what that was, and I had
Yeah.
no idea how to approach it. So that's
Yeah.
when you take the time to actually learn what it means and how it affects people, and then just having the respect to say, even if you don't fully understand it,
Hmm.
having the respect to say, you know what, this is your new name, this is what I'm
Yeah.
going to call you, and because out of just pure respect for another person. And I think that to me is a huge thing that I think people can do, and just tearing down those walls and being open to change your mind, being changed. As far as in my community, you know everybody has members in their family, and I'm no different. I have nieces and nephews that are members of the LGBTQ community, and that also changed my life because
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love them with all my heart, and I want to see the best for them. And I know how things were back then, where I know there's been some controversy this year with companies, taking the pride flag and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of those that kind of welcomes it, because I know that before that there was really nothing. It's
Yeah.
like finding merchants that was very difficult. You had to go to specialized stores in order to find
Right.
something like that, and for my family members to go to like a local store and find, merchandise that represent them, that speaks to them. It's a wonderful thing, having them
Absolutely.
go to school and not having to hide who they are. Having the time for them to discover who they are is it's a wonderful thing without having feeling the pressure to hide, or
Yeah.
uh, so I think that's one of the ways that it changed me. And it also you know it also motivates me to kind of like use my art. I'm not somebody that that expresses himself correctly, or I have trouble expressing my verbally.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I express myself is through my art. So
Yeah.
if having people, if people want to, fundraise, and they think it would be a good idea to use my art to, know how to fundraise money. I'm totally
Yeah.
open to it. To use my art to promote a fundraiser, I'm be more than happy to do that. And yeah, I think that's the way I show how I can uh, be an ally to this community.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate you because I follow you on Twitter, and I feel like you're actually some I have like tweet notifications on for you. I just always enjoy like seeing what you're saying and stuff like that. So I appreciate, everything you do, and like this past Pride Month, it's been really, really fun to see how everyone's been engaging with fandom. But you're, like you said, it's like you express yourself through your art, and you collaborated with Star Wars editor on such a beautiful piece that I have in my living room, and it's the colors in it are beautiful. I just want to say the colors are some of my favorite part. But yeah, you created a piece with Star Wars editor with some of their original queer characters, and that was a fundraiser. So can you talk a little bit about like what it was like working on that piece, and sort of like where you found the inspiration for the setting of that art piece?
Yeah, I absolutely loved working on that piece, because it was something different. Even though it's still Star Wars, it's still considered Star
Right.
Wars. It
Right.
was somebody else's creation, which I thought was really cool, and
Yeah.
it gave me the freedom to just put my little twist in these characters, which I absolutely enjoy. And Star Wars editor, it was their main idea. They already came towards me to with an idea. I just kind of like, kind of, I, I guess, put my own flavor to it. But I thought it was a really cool idea. I thought it was something that was for for a good, wonderful cause, and we
Hmm.
ended up raising about $150. So
Wow, that's great.
uh, that's fantastic. But it
Yeah.
was such a fun experience with these characters that are very diverse, and getting to know them, getting to actually draw them. It was such a fun little project to do, and I'm doing another project with them as well. But the idea kind of came um, partially from them. I thought their idea matched with an idea that I already had for something
Hmm.
else. I've been wanting to do a trans Star Wars art for a
Hmm.
while, and I had an idea. So I used that idea to create the Star Wars editor illustration. But it was just a lot of fun, and it's very inspiring to kind of see these people just take Star Wars and make it their own, and have
Hmm.
representation that we desperately need in Star Wars, and just kind of run with it, and just have fun with it. And that's what they're doing. And I hope they get a lot of success in their story. So if any of you guys watching, go to Star Wars Editor because they have a lot
Yes.
of really interesting stories coming out. So please check them out. Go to their website, go to their Twitter handle, and follow them. Give them a follow.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll link their stuff in the description too, so people can just quickly click that. Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of just sort of like diverse characters in Star Wars, what other kinds of representation would you like to see in Star Wars, if any, outside of queer representation?
Ooh, something that I definitely, of course I want to see more Latinos and Black people.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Star Wars, especially in leading roles.
Yes.
But one thing that I really, really, really want to see is a gay family.
Yeah.
Whether it's men or women, I don't care. But I want to see them with kids and a dog and some weird alien pet or something. No,
Yeah.
not a dog, but a weird alien pet.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I kind of really want to see, because
Yeah.
I think that will bring so much good, not only to
Mhm.
Star Wars, but to people that are watching it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not everybody is not everybody's lucky enough to like grow in a very diverse
Yeah.
in a very diverse city. So I think having people that, especially young kids, to grow up with something like this
Yeah.
would be so good, and to normalize that this is normal. These are just people living their lives, and
Right.
having people connect and relate to that and bond over those characters
Yeah.
would be a fantastic thing. I think that's why I love your show, because you're doing something that is really interesting. You're talking to people with the fandom that are in fan art or cosplay, and I think that's fantastic, because you're allowing people to speak their voice, and let other people that may not be familiar with them get to know them. And I think that's a fantastic thing, and I think that's what Star Wars kind of needs to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
People, diverse people of color, people of the LGBTQ, and bring them all in, and kind of have it be a normal thing where people won't get mad for seeing somebody that doesn't look like them or act like them on a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially, well, first of all, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I agree, especially also when it comes to BIPOC characters and characters of color in leading roles, in roles that, have the same nuances and depth that we've seen in other roles in Star Wars. And I just feel like the more Star Wars stories that we get, the more of a need there is for that, because, we see this galaxy that's so big and so like expanding. So I think it's only natural to have more kinds of stories being told. It's a big galaxy out there, and it's a big galaxy here on Earth too. So I think having those two reflect each other would be nice. And we're getting a little bit of that in the High Republic series, which is awesome. And I just hope we get more of that in animation, live action, and TV and film.
Absolutely, I think that is the big glass ceiling to break.
Yeah.
Live action TV shows.
Once
we do that, I think we can like just celebrate, because that would be a huge thing.
I agree completely. Yeah.
It sucks that it's taking this long, but I hope that it's sometime soon, because I have nieces and nephews that are growing up now, that are really young, and I would really love for them to like see these characters on TV. And I have a nephew that absolutely loves Star Wars, absolutely loves the sequel trilogy. So he's like, he's at that perfect age to be exposed to more diversity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I hope for the same. And I like to think that we're headed in good directions, because I think the creators know, and I think that it, I like to think that people at Disney and Lucasfilm are also just letting more BIPOC artists and queer artists in the door, the ones that are telling the stories, because that's how that gets done. So yeah. Amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or any upcoming projects that you wanted to talk about?
Okay, yes,
Yes.
like I mentioned to you this earlier, that I want to have a little bone to pick with you with Illuminara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought
And
you
I'm
were
bringing
going
this.
somewhere else with it.
No, yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. But I got this. I want to get this off my chest
Okay, okay.
because how dare you put her right below her? It's here. It's like, I'm sorry. Not only is she gorgeous, but she has a full gown and a headpiece that gotta weigh like 10 pounds, 7 pounds, and she can lightsaber without breaking a sweat and all that. I'm sorry, but that
Okay.
is top tier. That is top tier.
That is actually such a good point, and I was foolish not to see it. It's the headpiece and the full gown, and she's still doing the most. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Um I think you're right. I think she deserved a place in Hoth and Bothered because who else could do all that wearing all that? That
Exactly.
is
Until I
so
see
good.
and the only Jedi that could do that in a full gown.
That's right.
I'm convinced.
That's right.
But I love that. I love that premise of that show. You know, you got to do one for animals as well. Those Star Wars,
Oh, cute Star
rank
Wars
Star Wars
animals
animals.
and like
Yes.
that's such a good idea. That's such a good idea. Yes, thank you for that. I will do that for sure.
And okay, yeah, and yeah, thank you. I would absolutely love to see that. And yeah, so one of the reasons why I'm a little behind on the current piece that I'm working on, the Anakin and Padme Pieta, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think so. And
Is one of the reasons is because I'm working on animation or a project with a couple of other people, and it's something that we're absolutely excited about. It's something that we've been working on for over 10 years.
wow.
So, and now we find ourselves in a spot where things are rolling along a little faster. So we're very excited about this. So hopefully at the sometimes toward the second half of this year, or at the end of the year, we'll put out a Kickstarter and reveal what our project is about, and hopefully, we'll have the support and of people and help us fundraise and make this thing happen.
That's amazing. Can I ask if it's like a feature or can I ask about like, or is that top secret?
It's a short. It's
Okay, great.
definitely
Great.
a short,
Great.
but
Awesome.
but I would describe it as kind of like a mini movie. So yeah,
Oh,
so yeah, hopefully we can make this thing happen. I think we will. We definitely will,
oh yeah.
one way or another. But we're very excited, and yes, just stay tuned. If you guys like my art, I have another awesome piece coming up in hopefully in a week or two.
I I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait. It's been fun watching your process on that specifically. It's been really fun.
I've been working on that for so long. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
it's been a long time coming. Yeah.
But oh yeah, but this piece, this is the most detailed thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Once I put it out there and post it, hopefully people will see the work that I've done and all the thought I put into, because it's really really cool. It is really
It is
exciting.
cool. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I cannot thank you enough. It's been so much fun being able to talk to you. And yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to get into or?
No, I think I'm good, but thank you so much for having me on your show. I really love your show.
Thank you.
If people like you and Pink Milk. Oh, and that.
Pink milk.
Congratulations! I
Thank
wanted to
you.
say something on Twitter, but I was like, I gotta say it face to face.
Thank you.
Congratulations on joining the Pink Milk team. They're such a fantastic group of people,
They
and
really
it's going
are.
to be interesting to have you as well. It's like,
Thank you.
oh my god, I kind of lost my shit when I saw that,
Oh.
because because it's going to be you're very fun and entertaining, and they're very fun and entertaining. I just can't imagine not being a good time. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so congratulations.
Thank you. That's
What
very
an awesome
sweet.
movie.
Yeah, I know. The Pink Milk team they're incredible, and they're kind of similarly, I've been fans of them since before I even thought to make the YouTube channel. So it's a really cool full circle moment, and they're awesome people. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, oh my God. Yeah, they're one of the people that kind of like opened my, yeah, in your show kind of opened myself to different interpretation of Star Wars characters. I remember watching
That's
your
right.
show with I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names, but I'm
That's okay.
forgetting that artist with that was that it's Luke as gay. Uh,
Yes.
and I remember watching that show and just thinking, yeah, why wouldn't Luke be gay? You know,
All right.
it's such an interesting take that I never really thought about. I think that's what the community has taught me, where characters that I were considered straight just because I never really gave it much thought.
Right.
I've seen other people's interpretations of those characters and the reason why they connect with those characters. It's a fantastic thing. It's like, yeah, it's a thing to, it doesn't change the character. It only really does. It's just makes it allows for the person to connect with that character itself. And
Yeah.
why wouldn't people celebrate that?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that wraps us up for this first episode of the Rebel Allies. Roberto, thank you so much for such an amazing interview. It has been such an honor connecting with you and hearing about your process with your art, as well as how you show up for the LGBTQ plus community, both inside and outside of Star Wars fandom. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel because I do put out new queer Star Wars content every other Friday. Also, be sure to check the description below for links to Roberto's Twitter, website, and print shop because he has so many amazing pieces that, I mean, listen, at this point, I'm just going to try to collect them all. I got 2, so I'm ready for the rest of them. Thank you all so much again for watching and for your support. It really means the world. And may the force be with you always.